Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So I say it's kind of the royal we. George is going to do all the hard work, but we're going to show off the automation journey builder that we've got in Spotler in our mail product. But I thought I'd just take you through who myself and Georgia are and kind of what the Spotler offering is now for the customers on the call. So Georgia, if you can go to the next slide, we'll do my bit first. So I am Simon. You might have seen me on some other of the webinars, but I look after the marketing at Spotler, have done for a number of years now, probably more than I care to remember. But nicely, we use our own tech for our own email comms, marketing comms, multi-channel comms. And if from that point of view, I've got hopefully a very good insight. And then Georgia, if you go to the next slide, Georgia is our product specialist. So as she says on here, loves new tech, loves solving problems. If I ever have an issue, we'll go over to Georgia and try and get something sorted. So she's going to hopefully take us through the product as well, so you can actually see it in action, the journey builder. What I would say, it says on the next slide, a little bit of housekeeping. So we will record, the session is being recorded, so don't feel like you've got to take notes of everything. There isn't too many slides anyway, because I said we're going to go into the platform to show you some bits, but we've got an hour as such, but we take about 40 minutes, maybe a little bit less. We'll show you the system. If you've got any questions, please submit them in the Q&A. And I can ask myself or Georgia them afterwards. But anything related to what you've seen, or if you want to know a bit more about something, feel free to ask throughout. But at the end, we'll do a bit of a Q&A. As I said, it is recorded. There will be a copy of the slides being sent to you as well. So without further ado, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about Spotler before we get into the product, because we've grown, we keep growing. Loads more customers, loads more employees. We're operating over a number of countries, but I guess the big bit, or the bit that's interesting for our customers, is not the amount of emails that I sent. We send billions of emails. Is that we're now a proper multi-channel marketing automation platform with different solutions that fit together. And what I mean by that is, you know, we've got email platforms of Mail Plus that you can send emails from. Georgia, if you just flip over, that's got surveys, landing pages. You've got access to website personalization and CDP. So for the e-commerce customers on here, the bit for yourselves of form and cart abandonment, cart recovery, post-purchase trigger emails, lifecycle marketing and RFT modeling and so forth is brilliant. We've got the WhatsApp integration, so you can actually communicate with your customers via WhatsApp. In the B2B side, you can still do that, but with obviously with leads. We've got the social publishing now, which is Spotler own. So again, WhatsApp messaging, you've got iPhone messaging or Apple messaging if you like, Insta, Facebook, chatbots, live chat. So there's a lot more of a platform that's available that can also help feed into the mailing platform. And just two kind of ones to note is the transactional emails. So obviously if you do any invoices or get invoices out for your IT team, we now offer that. And we've just got a new company called Suqua, which is online search recommendation and merchandising. So again, from the e-commerce point of it, of being able to find a blue pair of jeans, and if you search blue jeans, it comes up with something that's blue and a pair of jeans. The contextual online search and recommendation is quite strong, which is great. So I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about why we would do automations before we get you into looking at automation. So the kind of compelling reasons of why do automation. As marketeers, we generally we send emails out, we have forms on our website. Georgia, if you can go to the next slide, that'd be great. And why would we stitch it all into an automation? It's relatively obvious, but obviously, you know, we can pre-plan stuff for a great experience for customers at different journeys. So whether that's e-commerce or B2B or B2C, whatever your market is, those automations are being able to deliver comms based on the right time with the right content to the right person based on behavior is an optimal experience of being really personable as well and personalized. Obviously, saving time. We can make sure we've got time to do all those social tweets, run those events, do the webinars, because the automations are sat there waiting to capture and trigger at the right time. Multitasking. The other one that we've got is with the new product, this one, the alerts and so forth and notifications, not just by email, but internally you can get SMS notifications, which is really good. We can start to score, tag and categorize data using the automations. And there's a great bit of analysis that you can do in here of behavior trends of changing over time. So the automations, the stuff that George is going to show you, will hopefully you'll be able to see they can add value to your marketing over time. So I'm almost done. We've got, so I thought we'll go over the agenda of the day. So you've got your why. Why should we look at these automations? So some obvious ones, some a bit more in-depth, compelling. But in the B2B world, obviously the use case that we all have is we've got forms on our website in B2B, and you know, we've got white paper downloads, guys downloads. We can trigger automated workflows based on a number of things. One, obviously the form being downloaded, but you can reference any other information that you've got within your CRM, or even with the CDP, the personalization tool. You can start referencing and start sending very bespoke emails based on what you know about someone, and even what you don't know if it's just on the form fill. Again, Welcome and Nurture series are trying to educate people while increasing people on your website. We call it click to web, but basically you're trying to get more traffic on your website, and you're trying to find out who those people are. So from form fill or from email marketing. And then obviously goal number 3 for the e-commerce side of it is trying to recover and convert all those lost opportunities of seeing who's on your website, what they're putting into your cart. You know, nicely with Spotler, you can do browser abandonment as well, so we don't need them to be physically logged in, which is a great piece that you can use. So cart abandonment is great, but browser abandonment is another step in a direction that you can have in your armory. And what that kind of look like from a customer lifecycle point of view on the next slide, Georgina, is if you put it into your general marketing piece, you've got awareness, consideration, decision, conversion. You could use AIDA, you could use a number of them. But as I was saying earlier, in the form fill or download journey, you can get notifications to stakeholders, not just through email, but SMS. So if you want to act on those quickly, you can. We can also get people to update their profile with their activity and their interest that they're showing. As I mentioned earlier, we're tagging and scoring people. So if people are purchasing certain items or they're doing certain behavior on the website, you can save that for later campaigns. And again, we can move people between flows and functions with the go to function parts of it. And for the e-commerce, the integrations into different e-commerce platforms like Magento, Shopify, and so forth. We are able to start to feed that data and also do social ad targeting. So, you know, people on your website, they look at certain products, they don't buy it. You can actually display ads to them over Facebook and Google, which is really powerful, trying to get people back online. And obviously website recommendations. So if I've purchased something and I come back to your website, it can show me the relevant context of other products that I might want to go and purchase. So that all sounds great. I'm going to hand over to Georgia if she's going to show you what it all looks like. So over to you, Georgia.
Lovely, thank you. So if we just come out here and we're going to go over into the actual product itself. So this is going to be the home page of the product, and we're going to be focusing on our automations module for this webinar today. And inside of here, we're going to be able to create a couple of different types of automations. We'll go through and we'll actually create the use cases that we've just been speaking about. So we'll create a lead generation, we'll look at a kind of welcome series, campaign series, and we'll also look at those different templates as well, and different kind of cart abandonment templates we can use. If I click new automation, it's how we're going to be able to actually create the automation itself. And in here, we can then just simply give our automation a name for whatever I might want to call it. So I might call this webinar 1, let's say. And then I'm able to click save and next. Now, with this automation tool, we've actually got lots of really useful step-by-step templates for you to actually be able to use. So these are basically some of the use cases, some I've just been talking about and some other ones as well, in terms of things like that lead generation, a welcome campaign, abandoned cart. All of these we have built as templates, very much step-by-step. So rather than us necessarily saying, you can do this and off you go, build it from scratch, we can actually give you a step-by-step guide, and then you could just go in and actually select the audience you wish to use, or select the email that you wish to send, the form submission it needs to come from, whatever it may be. But you can then go through and actually kind of fill those in, a bit of a step-by-step, pick my numbers, if you will, in terms of actually being able to create them. So really quick and easy. These are always still fully editable. So if you do want to add in additional stages, extra stages, that's also an option that we have as well. But we have lots of different templates we're able to use. You can always start from scratch. So if you do want to start from a completely blank canvas, that's also another option that we have and that you're able to do as well. And then we'll also, any templates you do create, you can also save your own templates as well. So again, if you create a structure that you know that you're going to be able to use again and again, you're going to be able to use to repeat it. You create lots of very similar workflows at different points of the year, maybe. You could build kind of your own save template that you can then come back to, and then just again swap in and actually add in the stages that you need and select kind of the campaigns that you wish to send when you're actually going through and building those. If we start with one from our actual template section, you can preview them all. So if I hover over the lead generation one and click view, it will actually show me a preview, and then we can hover and look through and all the different routes that it can send us on. This one could be quite a large one, for example, but again, as with all automations, they can be as long or as short as you want them to be. The whole process behind it is just that we're automating it to help speed everything up and to make things a lot easier. So I might go in with a welcome campaign series. If we click on this one, for example, and then we click save and next, and then click through to edit, this will then open up and it will show us an example of the step-by-steps of this particular welcome series automation. So in here we can see we've got all of our different stages laid out for us. We've got some conditions in there as well, checking specific actions. So there's conditions checking a particular interaction, for example. And then we can go through and see all the different stages that we need to go through. All the ones that are highlighted in red, we can see at the top here, it's actually flagging our issues in this particular automation. So another really useful feature about this is where you actually have any issues that the platform's able to detect, it will tell you where those issues are and what those issues are. So if I select this drop down here, we can see we've currently got 9 issues. And the reason they're issues is because it's a template and I've not actually kind of completed that stage and told my automation what needs to happen in what stage. So we can see here I've got 9 different issues and where they actually are, and whichever one of these I click on, it will then take me to select and highlight. So for example, what's going to trigger my automation. So again, really useful feature, especially to be able to make sure that there are no kind of underlying issues when you think you've completed the automation and you're ready to actually start testing and you're ready to set it live for your live data as well. So we're able to then go through and we're able to actually go through and select our different stages. So like I said, as you select a stage, the sidebar on the left-hand side will change and you'll be able to adapt and edit whichever that particular stage may be. So with our automations, we are able to trigger an automation of a variety of different things, one of them being a form fill, which is the example that it's giving for me here. So we've got lots of different forms that we've kind of previously created, and we create them under the forms section of Spotler Mail Plus itself. And then inside of here, we've got lots of different forms you can then go through and you'll be able to actually select when you're kind of building your automation. So if I go through and select a Spotler demo example, for example, I can select my form and then click OK. So the submission of this particular form is what's going to actually trigger my automation. And that form could be on a particular web page that you're hosting. Maybe you're linking through to it from any mailings and campaigns that you're sending, or it could be hosted on your website, and therefore any website traffic that's going onto the website and actually submitting that form is then going to be able to be added into this particular automation. So that's one example of how we're actually able to kind of start bringing people in. And then underneath this, in terms of my action, I'm going to start sending them a message. I'm going to send them an email. So I'd be able to go through and actually select a particular message. So I could set this one here, for example. Maybe I want to add in a particular wait stage as well and say, you know, how long do I want them to wait until, you know, you actually want them to be able to receive that communication? Do you want some time periods in between? You'd be able to set that information up. And again, I could click OK. On the actual left-hand side, probably should have started with this, but we've got our 4 different sections. So 4 different types of stage that we can actually have inside of our automations. We've got a trigger section. So what's actually going to trigger that automation sending? Is it that form submission? Is it a variety of other things? So again, could be different tags being added to a contact as well. Is that what's going to actually trigger those contacts to start going on that journey and start going through our automation? Whether that be our welcome campaign series, or whether that be something like a lead generation tool or abandoned cart work automation, whatever it may be. We have a variety of different actions that we can send as well. And I know Simon mentioned this earlier, but we're also able to mix and match with SMS and email as well, actually inside of an automation. So it doesn't necessarily have to just be one or the other. We can mix and match throughout. And we can also mix and match with those communications as to whether they are internal or external. What I mean by this is we have the actual send actions. So we could choose to send an email to your contacts or an SMS campaign to your contacts. But you could also have the notification features, and you could actually choose to send an email notification internally, maybe based on after your condition. If somebody goes down a particular route, do you want to be notified that's the route they've gone down? Especially, for example, if your automation is kind of coming from when somebody actually submits a particular form on the website. You know, if that's as and when an individual contact decides to submit that form and that triggers the automation, those notification features can be really, really handy because, you know, you're not going to have much visibility on those contacts because they're kind of being added in as an automated process as part of them submitting the form. So you're not going to have too much visibility. So receiving those notifications, whether that is going to be an email notification, which again, I could drag and drop the stage on, and then go through and select a pre-written message that would then be received in terms of internally. In those messages as well, we could pull through those different contact fields of data. So you can actually try and populate the kind of the message that somebody then receives, whether that's a marketing team, whether that's a sales team, with a particular data value. And you could say, you know, this is the first name of the person that submitted the form and therefore has completed this action, for example. But we could also do that with SMS notifications as well. And they could also be sent internally. So another kind of quite good advantage that we're able to actually be able to use. We have our conditions. So our conditions very much being what our condition is based off of. Is it based off of a particular response they might have done to our form? Is it based off of whether or not they've clicked on a particular link in a mailing that we've sent them? Lots of different options we can then base those conditions off. And down here, we can choose to edit our condition and then see what happens. And we can add those wait stages in as well into those conditions. So how long have they got to actually complete that action? You know, in terms of someone actually clicking on a link, are we only going to give them an hour? Are we going to give them 4 days, for example? So you can play around with that and adjust as you need. And the last one just being those flat flow response, so actually connecting up those go-to stages again. So just because you might spit out a particular automation doesn't mean that you might not reconnect up. So here, for example, we might actually we have our condition here that's checking, and maybe it's checking a particular link click in a welcome series. Has somebody clicked on the onboarding link or clicked the link to log into the platform, for example, in a particular series we've sent them? If no, we might send them another email prompting them again to perhaps log into the platform, to do whatever it is that they actually need to do as part of the onboarding process and that welcome series. And again, we can have another condition. And actually, if they then complete the action a second time, we can just reconnect those positive routes and say, actually, connect them up, and therefore they can carry on like so, going through different routes of our automation. But the whole point of that kind of welcome series is just adding in those contacts, whether that's from a form submission that they submit, whether it's a form submission that you submit on behalf, and then passing them through, sending them a series of emails with perhaps some different wait stages in there, and maybe, like I said, a condition to actually check whether or not someone's, you know, clicks on a link to log into a platform or to a portal or something like that. And kind of a welcome series to get people to kind of do that first action and kind of welcome them as a new customer, let's say. That's an example of one particular type of workflow or automation that we'd be able to set up and send our contacts down. I can always save my my automation at the very top here, and I can also close the editor as well when I've completed anything that I wish to actually go through and set up. I can then save and finish. We're going to go through the process again, and we're going to create a second automation that I'm going to call Webinar 2, sticking with my theme, and click Save and Next. Now this time I might start this from blank, for example, so I might go for a completely blank template that I'm able to use, and I could then click Save and Next again and click Edit. Now inside of here looks fairly similar to how it did before, but we can see I do just have a blank canvas this time, and so very much the case of dragging and dropping whatever stages I want in whatever order I want. As we saw before, the templates are still flexible. You can still adjust and adapt and add new things in. But if you do just kind of want to create your own thing, you've got your own idea for a particular journey that you want to send your data down, you'd be able to come in here and select a blank template for us to be able to use. Now, in terms of lead generation, we could pull our trigger, could be a number of different things. It could be perhaps a kind of an activity, it could be based on a date field. So last time someone perhaps either was on the website or purchased, or an actual kind of activity trigger to say, how active is a particular lead or even a particular contact of ours? Do we need to nurture people? Have we got a particular pot of data that has been inactive for a long period of time? How do we re-nurture them? How do we re-engage them? But we could also, again, base it off of, form submissions. We could base it off of different score changes. Have they completed an action somewhere? Have they submitted a form? And therefore, we've added different scores and different tags to them. And therefore, again, we've triggered them to actually kind of, increase in score or decrease in score. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And again, what we actually do with that data and different routes that we send them down. But there's different ways we can actually use those different tags throughout our different types of automation. So we can add a tag when someone simply kind of gets dropped in, or if they have a particular tag, we can then say, here's the tag that we wish to add. So we could use our tags as a trigger. We're also able to use our tags underneath the condition section. We can also run a particular condition as well, based on whether a contact might have a particular tag or score. And there's also other different ways we could do this. We could actually choose to add a particular tag. Maybe you've got a condition in your particular, your lead generation automation. Maybe you're sending a series of campaigns. You're trying to see how engaged some contacts are. And every time you have a condition, you've obviously got your two different routes. You're going to have your positive routes, and you're also going to have your negative route for that data to go down. And you could actually say, if a contact goes down the positive routes, we're going to increase the score of a particular tag by 5 or by 10, for example. And every time they might go down or get another condition and potentially go down the negative route, you might decrease the score. So using that scoring system to actually help us to be able to understand how engaged a contact is. Are they passing through our particular automation, and are they hitting all the positive conditions, the positive routes they can go down, and therefore they're increasing that score. And again, we might have another automation that is then triggered by that score, and therefore we could say anybody that has a score over 50, pull them into this automation, because we want to start talking to them and really kind of nail down on them, and maybe then use them and reach out to them in terms of booking in demos and to actually show them the product itself. So tags and scores can be a really good use in terms of that lead generation, and actually just trying to see how engaged the data is that you might have, because just because you have a pot of data and you push them into an automation doesn't necessarily mean that they are contact data. They could still be that lead kind of prospect data that you're using and you're trying to nurture and warm up. So using those different tags, so the tag section I can drag on here as a condition, like I said, and we can check based on whether perhaps somebody has a different condition. Or just using those different triggers and being able to add different scores. Was a tag added? Checking if a tag was added. We can also base it on tags and score as well and split those two out. Also inside of here, when we do have our automation open, should have shown this on the other one, it's a bit longer, but we have an overview section over here which helps us to be able to navigate around our actual whole automation. Basically, it breaks it down for you into different sections and different chunks, and then you're able to go through and you're able to select from where it actually is on the screen that you wish to be able to view, and it's a much easier way of being able to navigate around rather than trying to zoom in and zoom out as well. So another different option. Also at the top here, something else I should probably mention is that we also have an undo and a redo button. So if you do start making changes to something and actually you think I want to go back to how it was before, undo and redo, we all make mistakes sometimes. So really, really useful as well to be able to undo different actions and try again and start again if you changed your mind, or if you're just not happy with the outcome of what it is that you may actually have started. We're also able to have different click conditions as we looked at earlier, but if we look in slightly more detail, I could then look at a particular condition and you get different options of what happens with the yes or the no actions. You could say, you know, if someone perhaps completes a condition, do you want them to go to a yes path, a no path, or actually just perhaps remove a selection stage as well. So I could actually choose to delete the condition underneath and have this condition here. And here with my condition, if I've sent a message, for example, which I would need to do beforehand, as it's just prompting me there, I could then say if I've sent a particular communication, like so, and I could then base that off a particular message. And I could say someone must have clicked on any link or a particular link in that particular message to then be able to see and to be able to actually then go down either the positive route or the negative route of my condition based on that link. So again, if you're perhaps emailing prospect data and you're emailing them about booking a demo, getting in touch, you can, or, you know, just trying to advertise different products or services that you may sell, you can actually then just start sending them emails and actually check which links they're going to and tailor what they then receive next based on the links they're going to. If they've clicked on a particular page of the website or the book a demo page, for example, then maybe you keep sending them communications about booking a particular demo. So that will be our second type of automation, another couple of tips in there that you're able to use. And then the last one that we'll do for today is going to be an abandoned cart journey. So if I call this webinar 3, and I click save and next. And for this one, we'll use a template again. Again, I can preview it here, and I can preview my template and the different stages that are available. And again, use the overview tool if the actual template is long enough for me to be able to need to navigate around. And then I can simply just select from here as well and click save and next. Click edit to open up the canvas, and again here we now have our abandoned cart journey that we're able to send different contacts on. Now this can be as complex or as simple as you would like it to be, but I could choose to have and select a particular message like so, and if I click OK here, we've got that set up. So effectively, our abandoned cart journeys are going to be used for when, you know, someone's potentially gone onto your website, they've been browsing around and they've added something to their basket, but they've not actually checked out, they've not actually bought that product from you. So it is more of perhaps a B2C e-commerce kind of automation that might be needed. And what we're actually able to do is we have another product in our group of companies called Squeezely. And Squeezely enables us to actually link an action onto the website to the automation that we create inside of Mail Plus, inside of our automations in Mail Plus. And we basically do this by creating a journey inside of Squeezely, where we're able to select from a list of different events, and then we utilize those events being passed into Squeezely to then trigger the actual automation, and to put somebody, a contact in here, will then pass through and go through the journey in terms of receiving an email, for example. It could be one email, like I said, you can make this as simple or as complex as you'd like it to be. It's completely up to you. But for example, add to cart is an example of an event in Squeezely, or perhaps another e-commerce platform that you might have, that we would be able to basically be able to use as an event trigger, where somebody perhaps, like I said, has abandoned their basket and they've not actually checked out. Another example of an event could be if someone's perhaps started to fill in a form but hasn't completed the form. That could be another option. There's a variety of different triggers we could use. But basically in Squeezely, the event is triggered, and then that pushes those contacts into Mail Plus and through the automation. So for example, for our use case of an abandoned cart journey, those contacts are then going to receive the particular email that we've added into this particular automation and that will populate with our various different product blocks, and it will actually populate with whatever it was that they left behind in their cart. So in our message editor, we've got a variety of different blocks we can use that will actually help us pull through that information and help us actually pull through the individual products that somebody may have left behind, and we can then populate that and show them that in the email. And that's how our other products, Squeezy, our e-commerce product, and also Mail Plus work together in terms of automations, and us being able to actually send out that communication, send that email out to somebody and show them a particular abandoned cart journey, what was left in their basket. But with these, again, you might then have a condition. You might want to check whether someone clicked on the link to actually then check out now. And therefore, if yes, then you might then exit them, or you might receive a notification. Or if no, do you want to try it again? Do you want to try and trigger the event again, and try and send them another kind of email, maybe 5 days later, to say, actually, how about, you've still not checked out your basket, for example. Also inside of here, we're able to actually preview our automation at any point, and you can actually download out like a graph of the automation, an image version of the automation, as opposed to just data from within here. And at any point, we're also able to test. The little test tube icon, you can select a contact you wish to mimic, and a start date and end date, and then you can go through and test the different stages of your automation. Really quick and simple, just in terms of passing through. And then when you get to your conditions, it will let you know, kind of say, do you want to go down the yes route or the no route? And you can choose which route you go down to be able to test that journey. We can see in here, I've got no issues in this current automation, so I will be able to set this live as and when I need to do so. We just close out the editor one last time, and I just save and finish. And the only other bit from me that I would say is, obviously we've created those different automations, but to actually publish them, we need to change our status to final, which we'll be able to do just using the drop-down section on the right-hand side. And then we need to go to the publisher section to actually be able to publish those automations. And at that point, we're going to be able to set the start date and the end date of that automation, how long you want it to run for, all the details that would come with actually setting that data live. We'd be able to go through and then just publish that automation, and that's when it will be live and your data will be able to populate through. And that's everything from me. Simon, did you want to take over?
Yep, excellent. So I'm just responding to messages on the questions. And
perfect. That was my next slide, I think, is do we have any questions?
Yes. No. So there's the main ones actually is everybody's intrigued because we've got some Gator users on saying, is it a new version of Gator? So what I've been messaging back, this is our new platform, Mail Plus. So we would like to get all of our the pure platform and the Gator platform. We'd like to get people using the Mail Plus platform. So if you like what George has shown you and you're already doing automations and so forth, the next step is we can follow up with you, but to get in touch with your account manager. So the Mail Plus platform has some great, as George was showing you, it's simpler, easier, faster to use. It has pre-built automations as well. And I thought you mentioned or went over that bit at the start, Georgia, when you were saying there were errors as such because of the pre-built, nothing was connected. So there's some great bits of this platform that is really good. Obviously, we only want to get you across, and that if it works for what you're currently doing. I know, especially on the Gator side, there are some of our customers have very bespoke things set up that might not be a fit or relevant, but we'd love to be able to have that chat with you and show you a little bit more in depth. So they were the main questions. I am just seeing, Georgia, whether there was any specific ones. I've got one here which is not really about the automation, Georgia, but I think we've probably got an answer for it with an update. So it's how does the platform differentiate between human and bot behavior? I know we've just done a release on kind of bot behavior for the email comms. Do you remember what that was?
We did, didn't we? We did do a release. I think it was to help us to, as you know, it's kind of a bit self-explanatory, to help us obviously eliminate the idea of bot responses and bot clicks. I think it was to do with bot clicks specifically. But in terms of any other detail, I'm struggling to remember a little bit.
That's right. So we've got a couple of methods that we implement. One, again, I'd recommend speaking to your account manager, but one, we do an inhumane click time. So any click that is within like 100 milliseconds or so of each other, we deem that to be bots. We also have a database of known bot IPs and clickers, so we try and help with those. The other one that we've just implemented is on landing pages, at least, or on email clicks. If we think they're a box, we've just implemented the ability to add reCAPTCHA. So that is, you need to obviously install that yourselves, but we've now got the ability for you to turn on reCAPTCHA on clicks if we deem it to be possible bot active. Well, I say it will be Google deeming it to be bot clicks. They'll ask for the reCAPTCHA to come up. So there's a couple of methods that we implement to try and give you more accurate reporting, but unfortunately there is no platform out there that is 100% free of bot clicks. They're getting quite sophisticated in how they click, the timing and patterns and what they're using. You used to be able to just say, it was Internet Explorer version 8 and it was all Palo Alto network, so you could easily spot it from a mile away. But yeah, a little bit more complicated than that now. But there are things that we're trying to do, and I think I wouldn't be wrong in saying I don't think that we're pretty up with the I say pretty up, what's the word I'm looking for? We're somewhat advanced on some of them. Obviously every ESP might do it slightly differently. I don't think there are many that have used a reCAPTCHA that we've just tried to implement on bot detection, so we might be a step ahead of the curve on that. Absolutely, that functionality I think is in Gator Mail from when I looked at it. So Tom, if you speak to your account manager and ask them about it, we should be able to just flick it on for you and you can play about with it. It shouldn't have any effect on deliverability. So it's not, the deliverability is all about actually the email address being live. It's not about clicks happening. Deliverability again and reputation is about engagement with those campaigns. So it shouldn't really affect that. It's when you get deliverability issues, it's a complete non-engagement in the audience, but also, you know, high bounce rate and complaints and so forth. So we wouldn't have implemented the reCAPTCHA if we believed it to have any negative impact on deliverability itself. What it will have is obviously an impact on you should see less click-through rates. So if any of the marketeers on here are targeted and get any kind of performance based on click-through rates, and you might want to think twice about implementing it. Right, there's just everyone's one is, it just a couple of people are saying actually it looks it's more simple and easier to use than workflow. I know there wasn't one in Pure anyway, I don't think, but from your point, Georgia, it's a relatively simple and smart, easy to use automation journey builder.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's got a nice slick UI on it, which obviously always helps. But it's also, like I said, those templates really are kind of game changing, because I think in the past, you know, I know I've done some training sessions and people are almost a little bit apprehensive about workflow, is the only way I can put it, where I feel like this, you know, the step-by-step guide, the fact that it tells you if there's any errors, for example, I feel like hopefully that will give a lot more people a bit more confidence when we can introduce more people to the world of automation, because, you know, why do something yourself manually when you can get the platform to do it for you?
Absolutely. Right, I think that is everything in there. So Georgia, thank you for that. Thank you everybody that was on and is still on. So if you do want any more information, the next slide, Georgia, if you just go to it, but if you've got your account managers, you can call into support. Actually, just before I go on to that, we've got some more webinars that come in that are very product focused. So we've got one, if you do get involved with transactional emails, or your IT department do, then please get them booked onto the delivering critical emails. We've got another one about website personalization for the e-commerce customers, and we've got one about social. So as I said, we've got a new social, well, I say a new, we've got our own social tool that you can publish. This one's got chat in there, so we're going to do a great session on that as well. But if you do have more interest, if you want to kind of jump the queue rather than those webinars, then contact your account manager. We'll reach out to any of you that are on chat that are asking questions anyway, so we'll reach out separately. But thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you, Georgia. Bye-bye.